Alright, so let me start by saying, what the hell? The Akrita Queen was imprisoned on Earth this whole time? Well, I guess I shouldn't be that surprised, because the Akrita are here somehow, but yeah, I really wasn't expecting that one. Oh, and for those of you that might be interested, I guess my theory about the monster essences was wrong. Anyways, hello good peoples of the internet and welcome back to this review analysis of the Winchesters episode 7 Reflections. As always, there are going to be spoilers ahead, so consider this your warning. So let's unpack this episode a bit more in order, because in the intro I went straight to the end, but the whole episode was interesting, so let's do this properly, shall we? First of all, I'm happy to say that this mid-season finale was great, since the last couple of episodes didn't really impress me all that much. This one, however, is really good and packed full of main story intrigues that kept me interested the whole way through. The beginning at the radio station was a bit slow, but it was serviceable to get us to the actual goal of this episode for the gang, which was to find Samuel Campbell, aka Mary's dad, better known as Sam and Dean's grandpa. Then, at the clubhouse, the gang are searching for a way to get the box working. Ada comes in with some of the men of letters folders that she discovered in other abandoned safe houses since she'd been doing some research with her son Tony. I'm glad to see that Lata and Tony's got some point in common. We learned that Henry, aka John's dad, had taken notes of the box, which is called the ostium, during a men of letters meeting, and unless I'm mistaken, we hear the first rendition of the family theme that we know and love from Supernatural in this series. It's a slower, more melancholic version than we're used to, but it's clearly the same melody. While the rest of the gang are trying to find a way to make the ostium work again, Mary and Carlos go searching Samuel's motel room to find some clues of his whereabouts. After an unfructuous search, they're accosted by a cop and Rocking Roxy! Turns out that the cop is another Akrita-possessed human. Roxy and Mary have a chat together about exchanging the box for Samuel, whilst Carlos chills in the backseat of the police car and plants a hex bag so they can track the Akrita back to their base. Back at the clubhouse, Millie is brought in to decipher Henry's handwriting and finds out that the best way to uncover how the ostium works is to do a seance to talk to Henry directly. This leads John to go grab the music box that we saw in Supernatural Season 8 Episode 12 as time goes by. They use the music box during the seance to contact Henry's ghost. At first it doesn't seem to work, but when Mary goes to talk with John afterwards, John acknowledges some of the feelings that he has about the box that he probably didn't even think of during the seance. And this seems to do the trick as Henry's spirit appears to them. It's a bit of a shame that Gil McKinney was brought back to play Henry only for a few seconds in this episode and that most of their exchange is done off screen. It's been brought to my attention via different posts on fan groups that some people don't understand how this was possible since Henry died in 2015 after making a time jump and therefore could not have been contacted via a seance. My view on this is that the couple of days that he lived in 2015 was simply added to his original timeline of 1958 and therefore Henry would have been considered dead since 1958. Anyways, even if this is not the real explanation for this seance being possible, we've got to remember that what started this whole show, the Winchester that is John receiving a letter telling him that his father had died. So, turn it whichever way you want, Henry's dead and therefore can be contacted via seance, and the letter is what enables the gang to know that Henry has shuffled off this mortal coil. After the off-screen seance bit, Ada then works a locator spell to find Carlos's X-bag, and the gang use some special ore that they suspect comes from some other universe to recharge the box and make it work again. The gang are now ready to go to the Akrita headquarters and try to save Samuel, as well as use the box on Rocking Roxy to sever the mental link between the Akrita and their queen, thereby defeating them. However, as the gang splits up to search for Samuel and Rocking Roxy, Carlos and Lata finds the monster essences, but they are forced to hide as some Akrita-possessed woman comes in the lab and takes the essences away. John and Mary comes face to face with Roxy, but when they use the box to defeat her, the rest of the Akrita aren't affected as they'd hope, and Mary drops the box. They run and find themselves stuck in a room with no way out, and Akrita's banging on the door, and finally they share a kiss. As the door flings open and a swarm of Akrita launches themselves at them, Samuel comes in with the box to save the day. This felt a bit weak as an entrance for me, since yeah, sure, he's taking care of a bunch of them, but he doesn't really have to use any skills or anything. Anyways, the gang is reunited and we're transported to the Akrita digging site where the lady that took the monster essences enters through a big reinforced steel door and offers the essences to the Akrita Queen in order to restore her power, and the episode ends. Now, I don't know about you, but this episode kept me interested till the very end, and now I just can't wait for the rest of the season to pick up after this holiday season.
And now, time for some theorizing. What's going to happen next? Will John and Mary finally get together since they've now kissed and somewhat admitted their feelings to one another? Will they live happily ever after? How big is the Akrita Queen and how will she be defeated?
Well, let's start with the easy ones first. No, John and Mary won't live happily ever after, and that's not a theory. We've seen that throughout Supernatural. That one was a given to anyone who's watched the Mothership. I don't think that John and Mary will really get together after the kiss either. I think they'll just be more awkward toward one another for a bit longer and still struggle to admit how they truly feel and still find some reasons to not be together, like Mary not wanting to endanger John with the lifestyle of the hunters and all that. As for how big the Akrita Queen is going to be, I think she'll be quite sizable, probably about 5 times bigger than the other Akritas we've seen so far, and that her design will be slightly different. Think the Queen in Alien versus regular aliens. And now we get into the realm of real guesswork, since I got no real clue as far as how long this show could be. Are they going to make a big finale, all guns blazing against the Akrita and defeat the Queen in episode 13? Or are they planning to do that in a possible season 2 that is still to be announced? One thing that I'm certain of, however, is that John is probably going to be the one who has to defeat her, since he seems to have been imbued with some power by Mars Neto, who wanted to prepare John for this final confrontation. His powers of immortality were linked to the Amphora, but his magic can live on after his death. So it's pretty clear to me that he'll have some important role to play. However, the show is being very good at not giving us much lore in advance for theories and stuff, so I can't possibly predict in what form John will be involved in solving this. It's fun and frustrating at the same time for someone like me that the show keeps its cards so close to the chest like that. Sure, I'm having a hard time making theories in my videos for the lack of lore and explanation from this new show, but at the same time it's super refreshing to have no foundations upon which to build theories. All the knowledge I possess of the 15 seasons of Supernatural and the ins and outs of the mechanics of the monsters and magical items and so on have no grounds in this new show. They've set out to do something completely separate from the mostly Christian mythos that they used in Supernatural for the Winchesters, and so far they've done a great job steering clear of that. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've got for you today. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that jazz, and keep fighting the good fight. I'll see you around in another video pretty soon. Bye, hunters!